All right, Coach. Got back early yesterday morning. That was a crazy finish at BYU. Just kind of, what did you take away from how your team was able to battle back, just to have a chance at the end of the game?
Well, that's what I've said about our guys all year long. I've loved their tenacity, I've loved their competitiveness, and I've loved their heart. That's the one thing I never question about what we're going to go out there is the effort and energy they're going to put out every time they step foot on the floor, and that exemplified it the other night versus BYU.
90 to 88, that is not a Johnny Dawkins kind of game. What went on in that game? Just the pace of it and just how it finished.
Absolutely. We did a lot of really good things. One thing we didn't do is we didn't defend well without fouling. They made 40 free throws. I think probably in the last decade, there's only been 4 or 5 teams in the history of college basketball that's made at least 40 free throws in a game. And so we have to do a better job of defending without fouling, still playing with the energy that we want to play with, but we have to show discipline and that put ourselves in position where we can be called for anything.
After those 2 tough road losses, how crucial is this upcoming home game?
They're all big. This is a big game because it's our next game, of course. And in this league, you don't want to continue to let games snowball. 1 lead to 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. You have to find ways to win. And so that's where we are. We have an opportunity to come back home. Like I said before, and you've heard me say this a few times this year, we have to regroup and we have to respond. That's got to be our mantra, and that's where we are right now.
Coming off the 2 losses, just kind of how is the team feeling right now after this performance? I know every game on the road is tough. I know there were slow starts, but the offensive percentages did pick up in that game. Just kind of, where do you think your team is right now heading into this crucial game?
Well, I think we've done some better things. I don't think it always shows on the scoreboard, but I do think we did some good things. I thought offensively, especially as you mentioned in the second half, I think we found some things that our guys need to continue to do going forward. I thought our pace was much better. I thought our spacing was better, and we have to still do a better job with shot selection and some decision-making things. We have to grow in those areas, but I did think our pace was better and our overall spacing was better.
How is your team different when C.J. Walker is in the lineup?
Definitely a big difference when C.J.'s in the lineup as well as Ibrahima. But speaking on C.J., he makes us better. He's one of our better players. He's an experienced player. He's been with me for 3 years, so he kind of understands what I want out there. And so when he's not there, his absence, it shows. And so it's good having him back. And of course, he's just getting back, and just like Ibrahima, they're just getting back. So in those cases, it takes some games for those players to kind of round into the kind of condition they need to be in, get their timing back. I wish that could just happen, right away, but unfortunately in this sport, that's not realistic. It takes these guys time to get their rhythm back.
Going off what you were talking about earlier, what from the second half of the BYU game do you want your guys to take away and build off of in order to get the win on Saturday?
Well, I want us to understand what it takes, the discipline that it takes to be in a game and make a comeback like that. I want them to understand, the decision making that we have to have. I want them to understand at the end the shot selection. We're in the game with some opportunities. We need to know where that ball needs to go, who needs to have that ball at that point in time. These are the things that we have to make our jump in. Is understanding just shot selection and making sure we understand just game situations toward the end.
Nils has been seeing a lot more playing time, especially last game. There was some foul trouble, but he gave you a big contribution, hit some big shots that kind of gave you a chance at the end. What have you liked about him, and how much has he improved as the conference season has progressed?
Well, he's played more in conference as it's progressed, and it just shows you, what happens when you practice, and you play the way you practice. He's been improving in practice. We've been watching him grow. Like all of our players, we always tell him, these opportunities are there for everyone. It's a long season, and everyone will have their opportunity to make the type of contribution he's making if you're ready for that opportunity. And what he's been ready for his opportunity. So when we put him in, the way you earn more time is you go in and you're productive, you have success in what you're doing. That gives everybody more confidence that you have more opportunity to get out there and help us. And so that's what he's been doing, and that's why you see him out there more.
A couple of games ago, your team went 28 of 32 from the free throw line. Not that statistic against BYU, and obviously make a couple more of those. What does it take from a coaching staff and players to just make a team better at the free throw line?
Well, what we have to do with our guys, and we're doing this, of course, is, of course, we spend time shooting free throws, and we try to put our guys in pressure situations shooting free throws. So that combination of putting them in pressure situations in practice, it's not the game, but it's as realistic as we can get. And we do the same thing with this, getting extra free throws up to make sure our guys understand the importance of free throws. So those are the things that we do. And then it's a matter of just guys. These guys are all good shooters. It's a matter of stepping up in those moments and knocking them down because we believe in them. And so, and they'll do it. They'll do it. I think these are some lessons that we've learned over the last few games that we have to be better in. And I think our guys, will take pride in making those corrections.
Obviously, Saturday's game is a rematch against Cincinnati. What do you guys need to do differently than what you did in the first game? What improvements are you looking to make?
Well, they're a really good basketball team, really talented group of guys. We have to do a better job defensively against them as well. I thought, we gave them too many, easy baskets, too many easy opportunities. We have to do a better job of making it more difficult for them, when we're guarding. And then offensively for us, again, we need to take some lessons that we've learned in the last few games about just our overall pace and the spacing of how we want to play. And I think those things, we can try to correct to help us, be more competitive the next time we face, a Cincinnati team.
Ibrahima made his return the other night. Actually, that Cincinnati game is like he barely played. I know it didn't make a big contribution, but with his knee or whatever he hurt, is he 100% or where is he right now with everything?
He's improving. He's improving. As you know, it's a long season, and most players are going through something right now on every roster. And so he's improving. He's giving us what he has. That was his first time back, in a while. I mean, he really hadn't practiced a whole lot before that game, so he comes in pretty much playing a game without having too much of practice time, no real conditioning. So that's difficult for any young player. And I thought he gave us a great effort, and that's all you can ask for in that situation. I think the more practice he gets under his belt, the more game time he gets, he'll start to round into the kind of shape and the kind of form that he was in before the injury.
Throughout the year, you've spoken about composure, especially on the road. Have you seen a maturing though of your team on the road that they've adjusted to these raucous crowds and the environment of the Big 12 on the road a little bit better as the season's moving along?
I think we have. From game one, our first game on the road to our last game on the road, I definitely see improvement. I think what you've seen a team grow from not really in the contest the first game to we're actually in all the games toward the end. The first game against Texas Tech, we were right there, and of course we weren't right there versus BYU, but we made a comeback late and put ourselves in a position to have opportunities to be there. And so I think just that on the road with the crowds that we're going to and the energy that's in those buildings against us, I think it says a lot about our guys' growth, on our road games. But we have to be able to get over the hump and find a way to win those games. We're right there, and we have been right there in the last few games, but we have to find a way to win them. And that's just a matter of, like you said, just having that composure, making sure that execution is at the highest point it can be at that time of the game. Because anything that you do slipping up at the end, it's going to be magnified, as you know, whether it's a missed free throws, whether it's a turnover, whether it's a bad shot. It's going to be magnified at that point in time in the game. So we have to be steadfast and make sure that we stay, locked in and focused on the things that we have to do to be successful.
You mentioned growth. At this point in the season, what do you think is the biggest thing this team has just learned about what it's like to be a member of the Big 12?
I think the biggest thing they've learned is that, just how competitive it is from top to bottom, that there's no way you can go out there in any game and just think, okay, we should get this game right here. No, every game you've got to go out there and earn it. I don't think any team walks out there on any contest and think it's just going to be a night off. You have to go out there and earn it. Now, guys, they've learned that, and they've approached it through going through this conference that every night we have to be, we have to have our A game. If you don't have your A game, you're subject to get beat.
I know obviously you take it one game at a time and try not to look too far ahead, but you're right in the thick of things, playing meaningful basketball in the month of February. Obviously the guys know that. I know you kind of touched on it. There's some part, like if the offense can maybe be consistent at the start of the game to the end of the game, like are the guys kind of seeing the big picture that they need to kind of step it up and play their best basketball now because postseason is a possibility.
No, absolutely. We have those talks about playing our best basketball. We're in February. Our best basketball still have been ahead of us. We've not hit the mark that I think we can hit. And so we're pushing hard to get there. Our guys believe, we believe, and we're going to keep pushing. We got to keep chopping wood. We're going to keep chopping until we get it done, because we know we're close. We know we're right there. It's that last little bit we have to get over to overcome. And I believe in our group. I think we can get it done. We just have to keep on believing and keep on fighting, and that's what they've been doing.
In those close games, though, is there a level of frustration, though, and how do you work as coaches to channel that so that it's not defeating?
Well, I think coming from our staff, myself, and I speak for our staff, we have a great staff. They understand the importance of making sure our guys realize the opportunities that we have in front of us and how we have to go about tackling them. And, you know, we never get to a point, in this conference, you can never get to a point where you get too beat up because it's a long conference season. If you allow, like I said, this thing to snowball, it can get ugly. I think our guys have done a really good job of understanding, taking a next play mentality, going to the next game with a fresh mindset. What do we need to do to improve? And then we move forward. You know, things in the past, all we taking with us is how can we improve? And taking no other baggage, because if you take up baggage and it's in these players' head and it's lingering, then, you know, guys can have, you know, long droughts of maybe not playing their best basketball. So we've tried to snap our guys out of it as quickly as we can and move them forward, because there's no alternative in this league. If you dwell on everything you did in the past, good or bad in this league, you know, that's a recipe for disaster.
BYU was, I guess, the first team you played for the second time. Obviously, you're going to play Cincinnati for the second time. How does that dynamic change knowing you've already played them once before?
Well, there's some familiarity. There's some familiarity being that we were in the conference together before, and there's some familiarity with what we faced this year versus them. So there's an understanding that you got an idea about their personnel, about their system a little bit more. Now, we have to refresh ourselves because it's been a while since we played those teams. But the fact that they have, I think they will kind of have an understanding about their guys and about, you know, what they're trying to do offensively and defensively.
Is it as much about what they do, or is it more about what you do?
For us, it's always more about what we do. You know, we're big on having a good understanding of what the other team wants to do, because that's us understanding, you know, and making sure that when we scout, we want to know the other team inside and out. So I think we do a great job of having our guys prepared and understanding what they're going to face. And then it's about what we do. You know, for us, it's about, you know, we always say we have to fight our fight. You know, we can't fight Cincinnati's fight. You hear me say that all the time. They're going to fight their way. We have to fight our way. And we need our guys getting lost in that fight, not getting lost in how they're fighting, but our style of play. And that's kind of the way we approach it.
Is that what's so frustrating then again about the BYU game, is that it shifted to the way they wanted to play?
Exactly, it does. And looking back at it, I mean, you know, you have two teams opposing each other, and when you think about sport, and it's probably life, I mean, you know, each person or each team is trying to impose their will on the other one. And, you know, I think that, you know, we weren't able to impose our will. They were able to impose their will on us and end up playing their style of fight. And we got lulled into playing that game, which is not to our advantage. And so we have to do a better job of understanding that and making sure that we stick to what we do, understanding our game plan, and for 40 minutes play that style.
Time for one more. You guys all set?
Thanks a lot, Coach.
Thank you.
See you Saturday. Thanks.